With so many baits in our tackle box these days, it's hard to simplify your approach. In the wintertime, we're here with Chris Zaldain, and he says you got a 1-2 approach. There's basically two things that you can take winter fishing, December, January, maybe even early February. You can go out with 2 rods and get a good day of fishing in. Kind of break down why it's so simplistic in the winter for you.
Yeah, that's right, Ronnie. December, January into February. Really, whenever the water temperatures are 55 degrees and below, all the way down to freezing temps, 2 rods, all I use, and it's these 2 rods right here. First off, it's a jerkbait, suspending jerkbait. I love the Megabass Vision 110 line of jerkbaits. My absolute favorite, most recently, I just got out, we just got done fishing this thing, and we caught a whole bunch of them. We caught like 60, 70 fish out on a power plant lake. Vision 110 plus 2. The great thing about this bait is it gets down to a consistent 12 feet of water, sometimes 15 feet of water on a really long cast, 12-pound fluorocarbon line, Seaguar and VizX line. But when you get a jerkbait down 12, 15 feet of water, they don't see very many jerkbaits down that deep. Yes, they see them from 4 to 6 feet deep. You know, the original Vision 110 jerkbait, all the pros on the Elite Series have the original Vision 110. This is the plus 2. There's a version right in between, the plus 1 version, which dives anywhere from 6 to 9 feet. But the plus 2, again, over 12-foot depths. What I like to target with this 12-pound fluorocarbon, really long cast. Okay, what I'm gonna target is, first of all, I'm gonna look at my Humminbird map there, my Lake Master chip, and I'm gonna find the deepest, darkest trenches in that river system or in that lake there is to offer. So even down 80, 90 feet of water, sometimes these winter fish suspend out over 80, 90 feet of water. But wherever I have a long sloping point that comes out from the bank all the way out into the middle main river channel and drops off into the main river channel, that's an excellent wintertime spot. Because that deeper water stays at a more consistent temperature, slightly warmer than what it is towards the surface or towards the back of that creek, those are the types of areas I'm gonna target with the Megabass Vision 110 plus 2. Long cast over that sloping point, jerk, jerk, pause, jerk, jerk, pause, and you'll see your line. It's almost like a crappie bite, doink, and there he is. And you'll catch a lot of big ones, 4, 5, 6 pounders in the wintertime on that suspending jerkbait out deep.
Well, we have from Arkansas to Texas to Alabama, you know, you're gonna vary your pause. You know, in the Ozarks, some people like to pause at 10 seconds and just watch their line. As we progress from December, Christmas time, January, into February, those fish are gonna want different pauses. It's probably not a science to it exactly, but how do you go about maybe testing that and brainstorming how long to wait without just wasting a cast?
Yeah, first thing I do is I call up my buddy Hank Cherry and ask him how long I gotta hold my jerkbait in the water there. And excellent jerkbait fisherman, by the way. No, but really, it depends on the species as well, Ronnie. Whether we're fishing spotted bass, smallmouth, or largemouth. The largemouth are gonna want that little longer pause. When your water temperature is 46 degrees in the middle of winter time, you're gonna want that 3, 4, 5 second pause. Jerk, jerk, pause, 5 seconds, jerk, pause. And you're basically imitating a dying shad is all you're imitating. As the water temperatures get cooler, especially towards the backs of the creeks or in the middle of the creeks, those shads start to die off. They feel a shock. It's just like us when we step out, you know, just outside when we're on our way to work, open up the door and you get hit with that chill, you know, you just want to go back inside. But the same thing with the shad, the chill comes, the water temperatures drop and they get stunted. And that's what that jerkbait represents. As it jerk, pauses, jerk, pause, it just looks like a bait fish that's dying, and those big largemouth, smallmouth, or spots eat it right up. So spots and smallmouth, you don't have to, even if the water temperature is down in the lower 40s, you don't need but a 2 to 3 second pause max. And I know a lot of guys along that White River chain, just up there, Bull Shoals, Norfolk, Table Rock, they love that real slow pause in that clearer water. That's another thing, is you want to target clear water out there on the main lake with these jerkbaits. You can catch some of the biggest fish you'll catch all season long. They're all fat, they're fed up, and they're real healthy.
Well, for a jerkbait, that's going to be your moving approach for those shallower, as they work out deeper, those suspending fish. You'll be able to cover maybe just by switching how deep they dive on those. What about when you slow down? You got that 1-2 approach. It's not going to be always wide open. You're going to want to slow down, maybe fish a little slower. What is your go-to for when you pick it apart?
Absolutely. When I'm fishing, traveling in the Elite Series, fishing that colder water, I always like a moving bait like that jerk bait. But when the water slicks off, okay, jerk baits work really well when the wind's blowing. When it slicks off or it gets real cold, you know the fish are lethargic. They're not chasing anything. You look down on your Humminbird, you see them come up after the jerk bait underneath the boat, but then shy away. That's when I'll pick up a jig, a good Santone Pro Series football jig. And it's real simple. Less is more with the jig in the wintertime. Again, your water temperatures in the 40s, lower 40s, sometimes, you know, lower 50s down into 30s. So less and more, and less is more. And that it's got a double meaning there. So I want less in my trailer. So the trailer selection, I want less movement. In the springtime or summer fishing, when I'm fishing those deep ledges and I'm popping that jig real hard and those tails move, that's when those summertime and springtime fish like a jig, okay? I like just a real, just a straight, this is just an old school chunk type trailer here on the Santone football jig. Darker colors, darker's better. Black, I like the black, brown, amber color in the Santone Pro Series football jig. I love a rattle. And then going back to the less is more theory, less weight. I think one of the biggest misconceptions of wintertime fishing is you need heavy weight to fish, you know, down there in 15, 20, 25, 30 feet of water. Well, this happens to be a 3/8 ounce jig. I wouldn't recommend anything over a half or a 5/8 ounce. You know, yes, 3/4 ounce jigs are great and they get down there fast. 1 ounce jigs get down there fast. But when you throw a 3/8 ounce jig with that flat trailer, 15-pound Seaguar line down there in 15, 20 feet, it gets down there fairly quick and it just acts real natural. In the wintertime, you gotta be a little more tactical. Again, we're targeting clearer water. The fish are lethargic and you gotta be more tactical and fool them a little more. So the lighter the jig, the football jig, the more bites you're gonna get, just because it acts a little more natural.
You got that natural, the less is more mentality. Are you gonna, when you work this, are you gonna bounce it? Are you gonna sweep your rod side, you know, drag it? Like, how do you wanna, and that's probably gonna be different per day if it's a sunny day, you know, how the fish are acting, but what kind of, how are you gonna drag that jig or pop that jig?
Yeah, absolutely. When I'm done fishing the jerkbait, I know they kind of got off the jerkbait. The jig, cast it out over those same spots, those long sloping points that meet that middle main channel, that main trench, that deep water where those fish hang out both in the wintertime and the summertime. But the presentation's real slow. Summertime out there fishing those ledges that everyone knows, those long sloping points that everyone knows, you know, that's when we stroke a jig and pop a jig with those big twin tails. In the wintertime, it's a complete opposite. We're gonna wanna drag that jig, 3/8 to a 1/2 ounce football jig, just drag it and almost count the rocks. And even though the water temperature is real cold, sometimes in the 30s, you're gonna feel that bite. When they pick it up, they scoop it real good. So it's real important to have a good sensitive rod. I like the Megabass Orochi Double X's. You know, full graphite rod, 7'2". It's a traditional jig rod, 7'2", cork handle, 15-pound test. Make sure you throw a fluorocarbon line, 15-pound test Seaguar and Vizix line. Fluorocarbon provides less stretch than monofilament. I know there's still some guys that throw monofilament out there, but for jig fishing in the wintertime, you want to fish that 15-pound test Seaguar and Vizix. Nice slow retrieve, count the rocks all the way back to the boat. And again, with that setup right there, you can't miss a bite. You can't mistake a bite. You'll know when they bite it hard.
In a world where more, gotta have a lot, stay versatile, throw as much as you can, here's 2 simple approaches that Chris Zaldain does for winter fishing: a 1-2 combo, a jerkbait, gets a little bit deeper, and a jig fished a little bit slower.